Janelle, the wife of a pastor. Now, Janelle's father was an alcoholic, so she made sure that she would not marry an alcoholic. She married a pastor. And of course, he wasn't an alcoholic, but he was a workaholic, though. And his whole life was given to his church and to God. He neglected her day in and day out because he was too busy taking care of his flock. And she complained about it. He told her, "You be quiet. This is my job." You put her down. Couldn't hear what she was saying. He couldn't hear it because of her bitter root judgment in her heart against her father, who had been a drunk. Now, after a while, this pastor retired, but he didn't spend more time with his wife. He spent more time doing pastoral work for the church. Until she came for prayer. She repented and took these bitter roots to the cross. Then after the healing had come, the next time she expressed concern to her husband about his being absent from the home so often, for the first time he heard her. He had never heard her before. Because of the bitter root, the projection of the bitter root in her, into her husband, prevented him from hearing what she was saying. Now he did, and he changed his plans to include his wife more often in his time schedule, and also to spend more time with her in gentleness and love. That was the block. So, conclusion. Bitter root judgments and expectations are generally in relation to our parents and spouses, but also with other significant people in our childhood, even with non-significant others. We are accountable for our own sins or bad reactions. We are guilty without being condemned. I'm not talking about a moral issue here. I'm just talking about a mistake we make that follows up in us in later life. There could be a sin, but you can't sin until you're at least 7. You don't know what's going on. But you can make mistakes, and we do make mistakes when we're kids. And they do hang on to us, and they can affect us. If it's not changed, well, this mistake you've made becomes part of your subconscious mind, and it's there all the time. It helps you make decisions, and we're people of habit, and you just move on until it's changed. If you don't stop to change it, it goes on until it's stopped and changed. They are so common that we should look for them in each inner healing session, just as a doctor would routinely measure our blood pressure or pulse during a checkup. A good maxim to follow is, if you have the fruit, you've got the root. If we sow apples, we will not reap oranges. We reap what we sow. Often our spouses become our father or mother, whom we have judged. There are few couples who understand this dynamic. Most separations and divorces are the result of the joint forces they do not even suspect. They do not know why they act or react to each other so angrily. They are driven by judgments and by bitter root expectations. They are arguing from recent events, but they do not realize that the rough river they are on is fed by a source in their distant past. Now, demons exploit bitter roots, but it gives them more power over us and to make the effects worse. However, the problem is not demons. Rather, it is the secret motives and impulses of the heart. The activity of demons is an effect, not a cause of the problem. Prayer for inner healing is not complete until the structure of the bad habit of judgment and expectation is replaced by the expectation that the Lord will guide life in the opposite direction, that of blessing rather than evil. In each couple, each person must ask the question, will they become better or worse by living together? Will they thrive from the forces of the other, or will they exhaust each other by constantly opposing each other? The only answer is to allow the Lord to deal with their bitter roots and to set them free. If the Son sets you free, you will indeed be free, says Jesus. Now, the universe is created by God full of balance. Because we all have made judgments that attract a harvest of retribution, we draw to us those people most able to bring out what we have sown. When a couple comes to inner healing to address marital problems, fault is almost always 50-50. A wife will normally do to her husband what she bitterly resented in his mother. And his wife is probably reaping from her husband the same misbehavior she had judged in her father. It is painful when a couple begins to discover unpleasant, hidden things about their spouse. Too often, they conclude that they have made a mistake, that they are not made for each other. However, God has not designed our spouses to give us comfort. Rather, we tend to choose one who, as a beloved enemy, triggers what we have stored in our heart. The more we take our sins to the cross, the more we can maintain a blessed relationship with our spouse, realizing God's plan of a transformed life. Purpose of marriage is holiness, not comfort. And the one we've chosen will bring out in us those sins from the past that need to be dealt with.